Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Ohio.
It is a beautiful afternoon in downtown Chicago. Cloudy morning, but skies beginning to clear. And it's a third game of a four-game series. The Redlegs and the front-running Cubs sitting atop the National League Central Division. And hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Luis Castillo looks like he's starting to pick up some steam and resembles that guy we saw a year ago.
You know, Tom, earlier in the year, he showed you some flashes of what he did in 2017, and then he kind of got off the rails a little bit by not being able to throw the ball over the plate. Now he is a strike thrower supreme. Not only that, his changeup ranks really among the best in all of baseball. He's a guy that can change speeds, dial it up to 96, subtract a little bit all the way down to about 82 to 84 miles an hour. All the career strikeouts that he's getting right now that are kind of setting his own personal records, a lot of those coming from the changeup. And here's a pitch repertoire right there. You go from 96 to 86, put yourself in the batter's box for just a second. And think about a car driving by at 96 miles an hour, that big one coming by at 86. You really can't tell the difference, except if you're trying to hit a baseball that way, and it's not really easy to be done at all. That's why Castillo is a very treasured item right now among Major League Baseball. The Reds made a great deal to get him from the Florida Marlins, and hopefully he's going to get better and better as we see him mature.
We've seen Jose Quintana very, very good in his Major League career. Came over from the White Sox, you may remember, around the trade deadline last year. He'll start it today for Chicago.
You know, he's one game over 500 this year. He's one game over 500 in his Major League career, but he's got a career earned run average around 3.6. For me, that really doesn't figure. The one thing that this billing today between Quintana and Castillo show me is that you've got a strike thrower in Castillo, you have a non-strike thrower in Quintana. He throws a lot of pitches. By the fifth inning, he's going to have 100 on the board.
And guess who's back for the Reds, activated from the disabled list? He's been gone ever since a series before the All-Star break. Is Scott Schebler, and he's batting leadoff.
Well, I don't know really how he's going to come right in there after being off of rehab, coming into big league pitching and all, especially a tough left-hander by Quintana. Quintana does have a very good curveball, by the way. But, you know, Schebler's an improvement over what the Reds have been running out there, and he's certainly little by little hope to get this Reds lineup back. Maybe soon we'll see Joey Votto.
All right, when we return, this has been the year of the walk-off home run. We saw it here yesterday. It happened all over baseball last night. Some of the numbers might surprise you.
drive. Left center field. Phillip Ervin walking off. Phillip Ervin touches the ball, and he'll be mobbed at home plate. Reds win 2-1.
Well, today's Elk and Elk storyline in Major League Baseball, 79 walk-off home runs already this season, the second most ever. 80, by the way, is the record.
That's exciting stuff. And I mean, really, that's what keeps fans around late in the ball game. They happen to have one here yesterday, as we talked about. But I'll tell you, when you have that kind of excitement at the very end of a ball game, I mean, you know, it is exciting. Even if you're on the losing end of it, which you hate to be, it's still something special about a walk-off at home.
Speaking of that home run yesterday, that was his second one already this year for David Bodie. You may remember, he had the grand slam.
Well, he had the ultimate home run earlier in the year when they were down by 3. He had a grand slam to win it. Yesterday, I guess this guy only hits home runs when they really mean something, and they really did yesterday. It looked like that game may go many, many innings. The hanging breaking ball by Raisel Iglesias was what did the trick, and unfortunately, there were a multitude of people around still in this ballpark, and they all went home happy because most of them were Cubs fans.
All right, when we come back, you may remember some of the comments made by Johnny Bench about the current Gold Glove winning Reds catcher Tucker Barnhart. You didn't hear those. High praise indeed. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. with 3 in the 15th inning. Eric Kratz, a bases loaded single, bringing in 2. And then Orlando Arcia, the walk-off game winner. We were still second in the wild card, a 7-6 long night victory over the Pirates. MLB news and notes. 49 saves now for Edwin Diaz. Wow. How about Matt Holliday? Gets his first hit as a Colorado Rocky. He's back playing now down the stretch. And Zach Britton, the first save with the Yankees against his former team. Aroldis Chapman having to leave a couple of days ago with an injured knee. Temperature really starting to heat up here in Chicago. Reds and the Cubs right around the corner. All the Cubbies have taken the field. We're moments away from the third game of this 4-game weekend series, and look who's back in the lineup. Fresh off a stint for a second time in Louisville is Scott Schebler, followed by Peraza and Jeanette. Suarez in a cleanup spot, had a big home run in the 9th inning yesterday. Urban in center today with Barnhart behind the plate. Casali at first. Not quite sure if Joey Votto is going to make it back tomorrow. Probably Tuesday. We'll see. Herrera again in left and Castillo on the mound. And boy, when this guy's on his game, he's mighty good. That's Jose Quintana.
He's a scout's dream. Quintana is. He's a left-hander that can throw it up into the 90s. He's got an excellent breaking ball, really good curveball, nice changeup. But he also can be very frustrating because despite a wonderful delivery and a repeatable delivery, he's a guy that, doesn't deliver, at least not this year for the Cubs, deep into ball games the way they expected when they acquired him. 10-9 on the year, 4.3 earned run average. That's quite a bit higher actually than his career average when he was over with the White Sox. But he's a guy that still, when you have a lineup with some left-handers in there, he can give you a lot of fits. He's got a very good curve, as I said, and he'll use that against the lefties.
And you see he's had 5 starts this year, so what we're talking about, very up and down. And I think a lot of people, although they'd never come out and say it, they would say that so far his stint with the Cubs has been a bit of a disappointment.
Well, he's filling in, I think, in the rotation where he didn't expect to be. I mean, he expected to be in the rotation, but you lose some starters here. You lose Darvish, you lose Chatwood, and all of a sudden, you have to pick up the slack. And, he's a guy, I think, that he's a lot better when you kind of hide him down in the bottom part of your rotation, because he does give you an opportunity for an outstanding game if he's on.
All righty, here we go. Schebler back in the lineup. Been a long time since we've seen him. And Quintana throws that right leg up into the air, turns it loose, and on the first pitch back, welcome back Scott Schebler. Injured his shoulder all the way back on the 14th of July. Well over a month.
Now he's up there ready to swing the bat left on left. That's always a good idea. Quintana will pretty much throw strikes. And Schebler's always been a guy that wants to hit early in the count when possible. Boy, the Reds really have missed him and his power. He had 30 home runs last year. If you take that kind of production out of the lineup, you're going to take a step back.
Peraza up to 291. He has 8 home runs, 42 runs batted in, and swings and drops it foul off to the first base side. Jam-packed into Wrigley Field on this, what's turning into a sunny afternoon. It's been very cloudy over the last couple of days. Had some rain yesterday before the game, and it was very cloudy this morning, but skies starting to clear as was predicted. 1-2. And Peraza a swing and a miss for the first out here in the first inning. Take a look at Chicago defensively, presented by Ford Hayward. His first start of the series out in center, flanked by Schwarber and Zobrist. They'll go with Happ down at third. Baez having an MVP-like year. Murphy just came over. They're unbeaten since he joined him, 3-0. Rizzo at first and Contreras behind the plate. A lot of moving parts for this extremely versatile bunch in Chicago. Fouled back out of play by Scooter Gennett. Slowly to the right side. Murphy sliding down on a knee, and from a knee throws out Scooter, and on the second goes Schebler. Suarez with a chance to get the Reds on the board.
Murphy still nursing some of that pain and rehab from a microfracture surgery that he had earlier in the year, and a guy that can run in a straight line better than he can from side to side. Makes a nice play to get down there and block that ball and throw out Scooter Gennett. Looking at his little cheat sheet right there, so where he should play every one of these players.
Here's Eugenio Suarez. He had the big home run to tie the game, leading off the 9th inning here yesterday. A game that would go 10. And the Cubs got the game-ending home run by Bodie in a 3-2 10-inning victory.
You can see that Quintana's trying to establish that curveball. It was the pitch that he struck out Peraza on. Also got Gennett on the ground ball.
Ben May calls the balls and strikes today. David Rackley, the umpire, at first. Chris Guccione at second base. And Larry Vanover is the crew chief, the umpire, at third. They have the lights on for the time being. I would imagine that won't last much longer as the sun is starting to break through the clouds. That's in the air to center. Hayward to back up a few paces, and the Reds are gone in the first inning. Luis Castillo will take the ball when we return. starting lineup. His team at 74 up, 53 down. A 3-game lead over the Cardinals, 3.5 over Milwaukee in the Central. Murphy, Baez, Rizzo. Zobrist a cleanup hitter with Hayward in center, Contreras catching. Schwarber hitless so far in the series. Quintana on the mound, Happ at third. And talented young right-hander for the Redlegs is Luis Castillo. 25 starts this year.
Coming off a really good outing his last time out, gave up but 1 earned run in 6 2/3 against the Giants. The Giants that day described Luis Castillo as electric. Blazing fastball, very deceptive changeup, works great against lefties.
And he punched out, as Chris mentioned, 9. He did not walk a batter. He's had 4 such starts all year long where he didn't walk anybody. And you see 8 of the 9 strikeouts coming on that outstanding changeup. Straight up in the air. Wind will not be a factor, at least to start this game. The temperature as we're moving forward could become a factor. Ball carrying and warmer, more sticky weather, and it's starting to get in that direction literally by the minute. The Reds on defense presented by Ford. Herrera, Urban, Schebler left, center, and right. Schebler already with a base hit back in the lineup. Casale getting more playing time at first base. He replaced Brandon Dixon at first in the game here yesterday. And now Baez. Oh, what a year. What a year. Right there in the mix for the National League's Most Valuable Player Award. There, maybe fewer than a handful of guys. Suarez will be in that conversation. Arenado will be in that conversation. Those would be the primary players that come to mind. 27 home runs, a league high 94 runs batted in for Baez. Oh, and he also has 21 steals. And he plays everywhere on the diamond.
And he plays with a lot of enthusiasm that sometimes picks your teammates up a little bit. Although he can be a little reckless on the base paths. I think you have to take the bad with the good when it comes to Baez. He'll just get better and better at that part of his game as he gets more experienced.
Got him swinging, and that's a strikeout of Baez. 2 away.
The swing of Javier Baez right here shows you how good this changeup is. Baez is absolutely certain that's a fastball. And he is so far out ahead of that ball, he can't believe it. And part of what makes that very interesting there is that Castillo throws that inside to a right-handed hitter. That's what Johnny Cueto started doing when he really started becoming Johnny Cueto.
Now the first baseman Anthony Rizzo with 2 down and none on. 268 hitter, does have 21 home runs, 83 runs batted in, on base percentage up around 370. Kept him quiet yesterday. 0 for 3. Rizzo had 2 hits, drove in 3 in the series opener. One ball and 2 strikes to Rizzo. Castillo already this year has faced the Cubs 3 prior games. 4 total in his career. First time against him, 5 innings, 1 run, 5 2/3, 3 runs. And then in July, he lasted 4 innings, only gave up 3 runs, but threw nearly 90 pitches in those 4 innings. And he has walked Rizzo with 2 away to keep the inning alive for Zobrist.
Well, the one thing that Castillo has done, which has really been unprecedented for him until the last few starts, is he just has filled up the strike zone. He has thrown 2 of his first 3 pitches in the strike zone, more than any other major league pitcher in his last 2 starts.
Zobrist, a 304 batter, has 9 home runs and 48 runs batted in. Three-time All-Star, twice has been part of a World Series championship team, Kansas City, and then with the Cubs here, where he was one of their big heroes 2 years ago. 2 balls and no strikes to this native of Eureka, Illinois.
You know, both Rizzo and Zobrist will make you throw the ball over the plate. Really good eyes up there. They'll work you. Not in a hurry to get the at bat over.
Change up, swung on and missed. His nickname is Zorilla, like gorilla, but Zorilla. Joe Madden gave him that nickname after coming over and being a big part of that championship run 2 years ago. 2-2 now on Zobrist. Saw him just wiping off his brow. I would imagine you wear sunglasses and put a helmet on top of that. I think it's pretty warm under there. He had to wipe everything down prior to this 2-2 pitch. Shallow center, it's going to fall in a hit. A walk and a single for Chicago with 2 outs.
Well, he got it on the end of the bat. This is an excellent pitch by Luis Castillo, but it doesn't guarantee you're going to get a positive result. Zobrist able to just kind of flip it into left center or right center field here.
So runners at first and third with 2 away in a scoreless game in the last of the first inning, and now it's a center fielder Hayward who's really turned his season around after a dreadful start. Up to 274, 7 home runs, 50 knocked in, and they'll keep an eye on Zobrist, who does not run frequently. 2 steals, been thrown out 4 times. Probably most of those on hit and run attempts, because he is not a base stealer. One ball and 1 strike on Hayward. Longtime Atlanta Brave, of course, Hayward, and the 1 season in St. Louis before giving that huge contract by the Cubs a couple of years ago. It's his 3rd year now in Chicago, his 9th season overall. 1-1. High fly ball into right field. Over near the line with room, Schebler, and that's all for the Cubbies in the first inning. A hit, 2 left, end of 1, we're scoreless. Chevy, check out their award-winning lineup, only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. By Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time, and by Buick. Yes, along the Chicago River, navigating the waterways in and around downtown Chicago. You've been all over this town.
It's been a great, when the Reds have come in here in the past, it seems like they played a lot of night games, but this series, 3-day games, gives you a chance to get out and walk around a little bit. In the evening, of course, in quest of a nice restaurant, and there are more than a few to choose from here.
Phillip Ervin to lead things off against Jose Quintana. Top of the second inning, no score. The Reds had a leadoff single on the first pitch of the game by Schebler. He wound up being stranded in scoring position. Cubbies left 2 on. Short of the warning track, it'll be Zobrist for the first out. Well, you look at the rooftops now with the sun coming out and see the lake going straight east over that scoreboard down the right field line. Great setting, and has been for a long, long time. Ivy in full bloom. You know, you come here in April and May and it's still cold and the ivy not grown in yet. Vines are there, of course, but not the actual ivy itself, the leaves. Coming to summer this time of year. Beautiful. 1 ball, 1 strike on Barnhart. I think a lot of people felt, brought up earlier about Quintana, that when he left such a losing environment, and that's what it's been recently for the White Sox. They've had their fair share of good teams over the last number of years, but the last 3 or 4 have not been good, and that's really since he became a regular part of their rotation. Then you come over here, really good team, huge crowds every day, and take off from a winning standpoint. You know, being on a team that won a lot of games, which, you know, oftentimes will lead to a pitcher, not all the time, but lead to the starting pitcher picking up more wins. And, you know, I think a lot of people saw Quintana this year, first full year with Chicago, being a guy who could win 17, 18 or more games, and it's just not going to happen unless he finishes with a flurry. Well,
he's got to really finish his ball games. I mean, he's a guy that just, you know, perfect example right here. You walk Tucker Barnhart. I mean, he's got a repeatable delivery. He's got great stuff when you grade out his pitches individually. You look at his pitching windup and you say, wow, this is what every left-hander ought to look like.
That one fisted down the left field line off the bat of Casale, and Tucker Barnhart will come all the way to third. I tell you what, every time they put Casale in the lineup, all the guy does is hit.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't expect it out of a guy that they picked up to be the backup catcher. And here he is playing first base today, and with Joey Votto nearly coming off the disabled list, we hope, but he gets a pitch on the inner part of the plate and rips it down the left field line. Puts the bat on the ball.
You look at the limited number of at-bats that Casale has overall. And that's already 10 extra base hits for him, and he has 11 runs driven in. Done a good job. Really good job. Here's Dielson Herrera. First base is open. You have the pitcher spot next. Cubs are conceding the run with 1 out in the inning, and this is where we saw the Reds have a couple of chances yesterday, and they just couldn't deliver the goods.
This is where you got to step out of the zone a little bit if you're Dielson Herrera. and you get a pitch near, you go ahead and swing the bat. You got the pitcher backing you up next. Got to drive one of these runs in right here. I thought it was important yesterday. The Reds had a runner at third base and put one out, and were unable to get the ball into play. Actually, it was a strikeout that caused them basically to have to pitch to the pitcher. And got out of the inning. The Reds only scored one instead of in a situation where they could have scored probably at least two. Interesting matchup here because both pitcher and batter are from Colombia. And that is a relatively small fraternity.
Yes.
You know, most of the Latino players are coming either from Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Venezuela. And then you have Colombia, which they play a lot of baseball in the town of Cartagena, which is where Dilson Herrera is from. A lot in the outlying areas, especially up in the mountainous part of Colombia, it's all about soccer, or as they say, football.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Herrera. A breaking ball again. It bounces up there. That's a second breaking ball that bounced about 2 feet in front of home plate in this at bat.
You do that when you don't want to hang one. When you muster up just a little extra effort. And you end up bouncing away in front of home plate because you don't want to hang one. You're throwing it defensively.
Big at bat for Herrera and the Reds. And a bouncing ball down to third. They practiced this play before the game, and they executed perfection. Brian Butterfield, their coach, was out working on that exact play for at least an hour today. Ground balls to third with Happ throwing the ball to the plate.
Well, Happ we've seen playing all over the place. Second base, center field. Now he's at third base here today. Make sure he has it. Has plenty of time right there. All he's got to do is deliver a strike to Contreras. You may ask yourself, well, why would you have the contact play on right there and run into it out at home? Well, because you've got the pitcher coming up next.
Sure.
You take whatever chance you can possibly take when you're down at this spot in the order.
Sally stayed put at second base. And on the ground down to third, Happ will play across the diamond. The Reds strand 2, still no score after an inning and a half at Wrigley Field.
Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
You were talking about that strikeout of Javier Baez on the changeup. IGS bringing the energy. This is something that Castillo does a lot.
You know, it used to be that pitchers would only throw changeups to opposite-handed hitters. No longer is that the case. And how good is his changeup? Well, as far as swing and miss percentage on changeups this year, you've got the two top ones right here. And Luis Castillo, we saw Cole Hamels the other night live and in person to attest that he is up there as well. So, interesting. Those are some of the best pitchers in the entire game. So, if you're a youngster sitting around thinking, well, what pitch should I really develop? Maybe the splitter or the slider? You dedicate yourself to the changeup like those lad leaderboard.
That one's in the air. Going to have a play here for Jeanette. Strike one on Wilson Contreras. Will be followed by Kyle Schwarber and then Jose Quintana. Castillo retired, and now he drills Contreras on the leg.
Well, that one had to hurt. I mean, Contreras ran down the line to take some of the pain away, but that looked like very close to the same spot that Joey Votto got it from Ryan Madsen, just below the knee joint, and he's out there really limping right now.
And he's already waving a trainer back, but it's hard to imagine he's going to stay in. He is really hurt.
Sometimes you get hit around that spot, maybe even more so towards the shin, where you get kind of a stinger that goes all the way down your leg, and you just can't control it. It just is like electricity going down there. You got to imagine. I mean, a big league catcher like Contreras, who gets nicked and knocked up all the time.
Well, you saw him look right at the pitcher's mound, and obviously Castillo made some kind of gesture to him as if to say, obviously wasn't trying for that to happen. And Contreras acknowledging Castillo on the mound. These catchers, these are the tough guys.
You're not kidding.
They're the tough guys. No China dolls in that position. He's going to stay in there, as he said he would when the trainer first came out. He just waved him off. How about that? So here's Schwarber, the Middletown Midi, by way of Indiana University. #1 pick of the Cubbies. Batting average has slipped down to .238. Schwarber is hitless in the first 2 games of this series. He does have 22 home runs and 15 runs batted in. Breaking ball and a good one. Came in through the side gate. Strike 2. Casale gets he out there, return throw, and not going to be in time. Yeah, that's pretty smooth play right there by Casale.
Well, it was interesting base running too by Contreras, because he looked back at Casale. Contreras was the runner at first base, and he looked back at Casale as he fielded this ball, and he really wasn't going to run to second base. He took one step and then stopped, because if Casale goes and steps on the bag, you're going to get the batter runner out, and then you've got a chance for a double play right there, but it would be a tag play. And had Casale a little more aware, and he's a catcher playing first base, maybe that would be the way he would have gone. Got that double play.
Now bunt attempt by Quintana, who has 2 sacrifices on the year. He fouls it off, strike 1. No score, bottom of the 2nd inning. 1 more game to go in this series tomorrow. Then the Reds are only home for 3 games. Brewers will come rolling in on Tuesday, Wednesday nights, Thursday afternoon, and right back to the road. A long road trip for the Reds. Reds are only going to be home for a total of what, 3 days, and that's the 3 days coming up this week, until the start of the 2nd week in September, when San Diego comes in over a weekend. Dodgers still have a trip into Great American Ballpark. Those will be big games undoubtedly for Los Angeles. So many teams, well, 3 of them competing for top spot in the National League West, and then you have more than a handful of teams competing for the wild card positions. Castillo, a glance over his left shoulder. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Kind of an interesting little nickname that Jose Quintana uses on his weekend of nicknames, Lelo. And he does that in honor of his brother. And it must be an affectionate term, because Lelo translated means dummy. Probably call him, like we all would if we had brothers, probably call him by universal name.
How about that play right there? That's a good job by Quintana right there. Start a runner with a pitcher in the plate and 2 strikes, and a runner who's not a base stealer.
Well, if it looks like Joe Madden's and it smells like Joe Madden, this is a Joe Madden play. I think Quintana's a good athlete, even though he spent most of his major league career over in the other league with the White Sox. Puts the bat on the ball, stays out of a double play. You don't turn the lineup over, but essentially you do here with Ian Happ coming up in the number 9 spot.
That one gets away from Tucker Barnhart, and back to the bricks. On to third base goes Schwarber. That'll be a pass ball on Barnhart. I don't think that ball ever hit the dirt, did it? May have been a cross-up with a runner out there at second base. Well, he just missed it.
Yeah.
Cap grew up outside of Pittsburgh, PA, and of course starred collegiately for the University of Cincinnati baseball Bearcats. Another number 1 pick of the Cubs, much like the runner at third, Schwarber.
Looks like right now that Castillo is doing something he's been working on quite a bit, which is, he's leading with his elbow a little bit too much on that changeup, and you tend to flatten out a little bit. It goes from side to side rather than down. But the quest is to try to stay on top of it.
Base hit center field. Happ with a 2-out run scoring single to give Chicago a 1-0 lead.
And it came back with a fastball right there. A 2-seamer, wanted to get it down on the ground, get a ground ball out of it. He did, but Happ hits it hard and delivers here with 2 outs.
And again, you go back to the hit and run with a pitcher at the plate and 2 strikes in the at bat. That enabled the runner to get into scoring position. Happ just continues to destroy Reds pitching.
Yeah.
If you took the numbers out, his hits and his walks, it is mind-boggling what his season numbers would look like. compared to where they are, and they really aren't all that great to begin with. He's batting into 230s. He'd be in the mid 215 somewhere in that area without all the hits he's racked up, and the on-base percentage would be a good at least 20 points less. He's walked nearly 20 times against the Reds this year. And now this ball driven into deep right center field by Daniel Murphy. Goodbye. Nothing Chicago. Boy, and Murphy's got it going on joining this Cub team.
The Cubs went 5 games in a row when they scored only 1 run in each of those ball games. In fact, they won 2 of those 5. But since that time, in the last 3, they have scored 18 runs, not including the 3 they put on the board here today. Their offense now coming around a little bit, and Daniel Murphy right in the center of it.
Yeah, they're 3-0 since he joined the team. Final game in Detroit where they hit 3 home runs in that game. Padded the lead late, but big run total. Then they had 7. And Murphy has had 2 or more hits in each of his 3 starts as a Cub. And that's his first hit today. 23 home runs now given up by Castillo.
Where you start the runner with a pitcher at the plate in order to stay out of a double play. And then you end up scoring 3 runs in the inning.
And the pitcher has to put the bat on the ball, because if he doesn't, they'll throw out Schwarber at second base.
I really love that play, because if you have a pitcher that can handle the bat at all, he's going to take a completely different approach and a completely different swing when he knows that there's a hit and run on. All he's trying to do is put the bat on the ball, not trying to hit a base hit, not trying to drive it into the gap. So your approach changes. And sometimes it's easier to do that than it is to get a base hit with a regular swing.
Play made it short by Peraza, but the Cubs get 3 with 2 outs in the inning. Roster updates and so much more at RBI Baseball 18. Available now. Learn more at RBIGame.com. Rated E for everyone. That's what our old buddy Porky Lopez used to do all the time before we were landing. E.
I think you were the only one that understood him.
I did. I knew exactly what he was talking about. Me and Dr. Doolittle. You affectionately referred to him as Porky Love. Remember he had all the mojo going down there in the Reds bullpen that year?
Did, yeah.
Wonder what he's up to now. I looked him up the other day and couldn't find what he was doing now.
I believe he's coaching in the minor leagues. I just have to check out and see what organization he's with.
Yeah, I tried to find it the other day on the internet. Couldn't find it. 0-1 to count on Schebler. Reds down 3-0. They bat here in the third. Schebler, the very first pitch back off the disabled list. A bouncing ball into center field for a base hit. For the Reds, when they were playing so well through June and July, Schebler was at the top of the batting order. Winker was playing regularly. They had dropped him out of that leadoff spot into a more RBI area of the batting order, and he was delivering. Schebler is thrown out by the third baseman, Happ. That's when the Reds were really clicking. Jim Riggleman was saying before the game to the media that, you know, he's going to tinker around with the lineup a little bit. Just because Schebler's in the leadoff spot today does not mean that's where he'll be regularly. Peraza has excelled in that role. You know, Billy Hamilton lately has moved from the bottom of the order to the top of the order, and we'll see how it all plays out. I'm sure a lot of that will be dependent upon the return, if and/or when, of Joey Votto.
Well, he's eligible. Joey Votto is to come off that list tomorrow. Of course, that has yet to be determined. Have to check with the trainers and Joey himself on that one.
Peraza struck out swinging his first time up. 2-0 pitch from Quintana is caught. A diving play by Murphy.
Daniel Murphy Day at the Wrigley Field here, turning Wrigley Field into his own little backyard playground. He's hit a home run. He's gone to his left to rob Scooter Gennett of a hit, and here he takes one away from Jose Peraza, going to his right.
Two down for Gennett. Popped up. Let's see if Rizzo has room. He does, and the Reds are retired. 1-2-3. Nice play by Murphy. lunch and baseball at the ballpark. You can be there for 20 bucks. The Cincinnati Chamber Business Day Special. You get a ticket for the Reds and the Bluers plus $10 in concession credit. So in essence, you're buying a $10 ticket and 10 bucks to spend however you choose. Go to Reds.com/skip-work. Check it out. 12:35 game this Thursday. Not a lot of talking going on in that relationship right now. One rooting for the Reds, the other for the Cubbies. Nope. Not good. .5 against Castillo. The Cubs came up with 3 runs after 2 were out. In the second inning, they got an RBI single by Happ and a 2-run big fly from Murphy. Night games including the Pirates in Milwaukee, Cardinals in Colorado. Those are big ones inside the National League Central in the wild card race. Philadelphia playing in interleague baseball up in Toronto. They don't have enough room on this Wrigley Field scoreboard for every game that will be played around Major League Baseball. They decide which ones they're going to put up there and which ones are not. One of those missing would be the Atlanta Braves. Braves are playing the Marlins later tonight. Only one other game ongoing in Major League Baseball. The Yankees taking it to the Baltimore Orioles. 8-2. Yeah, been a rough year for Baltimore. Your old friend Buck Showalter having a tough go at it. That one hooked to the right side, and that's out number 1. Coming up later on, presented by Miller Lite, we'll have our Hold True moment. You know, the Cubs third base coach was joined at the hip with Buck Showalter for many, many, many years. In fact, his father, Brian Butterfield, his dad, was your coach in college. Good baseball man, Brian Butterfield.
Yeah, Jack Butterfield was his dad. He was coaching. He actually came down from University of Maine, Orono, to take the job in South Florida. Coached there a couple of years and then went on to work in the front office for the New York Yankees. Brian is coached in the Yankee organization, the Arizona Diamondback organization, the Boston Red Sox, and Toronto. Really good baseball man.
Yes, he is.
He's one of those guys, really, Tom, that I'm surprised has never had a real serious look. Other than the 2 times he was interviewed in Toronto, where he was told both times for a managerial job, he came in second.
I'm with you all the way. I mean, of all the coaches we've met, and there are a lot of them. Ron Wotus is another guy that comes to mind. There have been Billy Hatcher, for me, comes to mind.
I agree.
I really believe that Billy Hatcher would be an outstanding major league manager, but Butterfield and Wotus, there have been guys like that all over baseball. It remains to be seen what the Reds are going to do with their managerial position. Of course, at the end of the year, nobody's giving any indication as to whether the interim tag will be removed from Jim Riggleman or not. I think most of the people who watch this team on a regular basis feel he has done an excellent job. Now, is he the guy you want moving forward? That's for other people to decide. And Castillo bounces back with a quick 1-2-3 inning. We're off to the 4th, and the Cubs with a 3-0 lead. Sports Ohio brought to you by O'Charlie's, home of Free Pie Wednesdays. By your local Ford dealer, Ford Go Further. And by Cincinnati Children's, now ranked number 2 in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. Now, there's a whole lot of that in Chicago, too, with all the beauty. There's also a car or two out on the road.
But
the most populous city in America.
Even if you don't have a car in the city, it's pretty easy to get around. Public transportation here is very good. In fact, a lot of the young people that move here, say out of college, get their first job, move to Chicago, most of them do not have cars.
Well, it must be mandatory then, and you get one at 25 years old, because there are a lot of them. The Eugenio Suarez to lead things off against Jose Quintana in the Reds' 4th inning. And that is high. 2-2. Suarez flying out to center his first time up. Saturday afternoon baseball. You don't see a lot of this anymore. And, you know, case in point, like we brought up earlier, there's only one game in all of baseball besides this one that will be played right around this starting time. There is one other game that will get started shortly. It's Philadelphia-Toronto. For whatever reason, the American League East has always played Saturday day baseball most of the time. And that's the case today with a game in Baltimore and a game in Toronto. Base hit into right field by Suarez. Third Reds hit against Jose Quintana.
Two singles and a double. This opposite field hit right here by Suarez. It looks like on maybe a cut fastball that came right in there to him. Reds have seen Quintana now, including today, 3 times. Once early in the year, an excellent outing back in May the 19th. He went 7 innings of shutout baseball. Most recently, it was in June where he went 5 innings. Reds got him for 4 runs and 9 hits.
He had a couple of walks. He had 11 base runners in those 5 innings. He allowed 3 runs in the 5th inning of that game. Reds trying to touch him up here in the 4th with a leadoff single from Suarez. Ooh, good cut there by Urban and fouled it back. Two and one on Phillip Ervin. Off the inside corner, running the count to 3 balls and a strike.
Quintana really has not had great control of that curveball. So if you're Phillip Ervin, you're probably looking and searching for that fastball here on this 3-1 count.
Yep, sails high and away, ball 4. So the Reds were the first 2 aboard. Second walk given up by Quintana. Well, the Reds had a scoring chance in the 1st inning. They had a runner in scoring position with 2 outs. They got Suarez and a fly ball to center. They had runners at 2nd and 3rd. Had a runner thrown out at the plate with 1 out in the 2nd inning for the 2nd out, and then Castillo made the final out. And after a 1-2-3 third, simmering hopes for A run scoring inning now. 2 on, nobody out. Breaking ball in there, a strike. Breaking ball down in the dirt. Been a lot of those from Quintana in the game here today.
Just looks like Quintana sometimes on that fastball just cuts it off short a little bit. Really doesn't get out there and get great extension. Almost like he's really afraid to cut loose on it. At least that's what it looked like on the last couple of pitches here to Tucker Barnhart. The bow rider is going to come out and talk to him.
That'd probably be your nickname. Man of the high seas that you were back in your days in Florida.
Long time ago.
Yeah, but that could still be your nickname now.
Well, Jim Hickey, of course, was the pitching coach down for the Tampa Bay Rays for a long, long time, and who knows, he may own a bout rider.
Yeah, but you look more like a guy in a captain's hat out on the high seas.
Well, that would be a yacht.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Precisely.
Okay, yeah.
I could see you in that. I think a lot of others can too. They told me that. That or maybe a beret. 2 balls and a strike. Well, you talk to Cub fans, and they have really been frustrated watching Quintana. White Sox fans tell you the same thing. He's blessed with just incredible talent. And they say by all accounts he is a great kid.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And really, really cares and wants to be good. There's a base hit into right center field, but Suarez had to make sure that ball wasn't going to get caught by Murphy, so everybody advances 90 feet, and the Reds have the bases loaded with nobody out.
Really good at bat there by Tucker Barnhart. Saw a lot of pitches, still looking for fastball. Got one here and just kind of took what Quintana gave him. Little pitch out over the plate right there. And that was so close to being caught by Murphy. That's why Suarez had to hold up. So now it's up to Kirk Casale. He had a double earlier.
Yeah, fisted one down the left field line. They're loaded with none out. Low ball 1. Anyway, to finish a thought about, I have a lot of friends here in town that hardcore Cub fans, and you talk to them about certain players on the team. And this is one of the guys that inevitably will come up, Quintana, where you'll see him pitch one game, and you gave the best illustration just in his 2 starts against the Reds this year. One game, he is unhittable. He's throwing strikes, he's working fast, he's getting people out. The next time you see him, 11 base runners in 5 innings, walking guys. And now here he's facing, and let's be honest about it. I mean, you have the picture of the other 8 players the Reds have in the lineup. 3 have spent most of the year in the minor leagues. Now, granted, he hasn't given up a run yet.
Well, Contreras right there became so frustrated with Quintana not being able to throw a fastball. He throws a curveball on a 2-0 pitch, and he misses. So he's got a long way to come back up that ladder.
Oh, boy. Casale was thinking about offering it that pitch. It looked like 3-0 with the bases loaded. I think that would have been a surprise. Although you are at the bottom of the order here. You have the pitcher 2 spots from now. Bases loaded, nobody out. Quintana the okay with Contreras. And a 3-1 to Casale. Fly ball short, right. Here comes a throw by Zobrist. Not in time. Suarez scores the sac fly RBI for Casale. On the third base goes Irvin.
Yeah, that was a good part right there. Heads up play by Phillip Irvin on the back end of that, because he realized as soon as Zobrist was camped under that, the Zobrist was set up to throw the ball to home. And that's a signal to the runner at second base that you better get on over there to third.
Second chance now for Dilson Herrera with a runner at third and fewer than 2 outs in the inning. He had a ground ball right at the third baseman Happ, who threw Barnhart, the runner at third, out trying to come home. Big chance for Herrera. Trying to hit that ball to Evanston with that first pitch swing. The Reds are giving Herrera now, and granted, look, everybody can have a stretch of 4 or 5 games where, you know, they don't hit the ball well or hit the ball with authority, but those are guys who are going to be regular players. For Herrera, between now and the end of the year, the Reds are trying to get a read on this young man, and so far he has 9 hits and 50 at bats. Behind here, 0-2. Stays off that breaking ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 1 out. 3-1 ball game. Chicago in front in the 4th. Two away in the inning. He is having a tough time. Really tough time.
They swung through a number of fastballs. In fact, all fastballs that he swung and missed in this at bat right here. On the very last one, Quintana goes up in the zone and just by him.
Those are 2 big at bats for Herrera in the early part of this game, with a runner at third and 1 out in each of them.
I mean, really, in that situation, you have to completely hit for the situation. And especially when it comes to 2 strikes, you've got to figure out a way to tell yourself, I've got to get the bat on the ball right here. I don't care if it's a weak fly ball somewhere. But I can't take a big hack and let the guy go upstairs and throw the ball by me. Not at 91 miles an hour. We saw that yesterday with Brandon Dixon in a similar situation. And it's situational hitting. And in tight ball games, it really becomes glaring.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Or 1 ball and 2 strikes. They have the quickest trigger, the guy that runs the scoreboard in this place, of any place in the league by far. Never seen anything like it. We'll have to do a split screen of that for you when there's just a single batter at the plate to show you how quickly. I mean, you literally blink your eye and it's already at the next count. 2-2 now on Castillo. Very interesting here. Ahead of the pitcher at 1 ball and 2 strikes. He's missed twice in a row. Castillo has to know the brave fastball's coming. Now the question is, can he put the bat on it and drive it somewhere? Tardy. Once again, a 3-2 pitch to Luis Castillo. And he's ready for it and bangs it into center field, a hit. Boy, there's a difference when you go 3-2 on somebody right there. The second that count went to 3-2, it doesn't matter who's in a batter's box. They are getting a fastball, and are you ready to hit it?
Well, they fouled off a couple times, and I think that really gave him the confidence that he's seeing more and more pitches. Finally times it. This ball right at the top end of the strike zone. Looked like the same pitch that Dilson Herrera swung through, but not this time for Luis Castillo. Well, that is just a backbreaker for the Cubs right there. Thinking you're at the bottom of the order now. Still a couple of runners on base and 2 in.
And not only at the bottom of the order, you're ahead of the pitcher at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Schebler down a strike.
Well, it comes down to the inability to throw your breaking pitch over for a strike. Because if you throw your breaking pitch to Luis Castillo, 9 out of 10 times you're going to get him out.
Castillo, his second run batted in. That's his
second hit this year off of Jose Quintana.
Schebler 1 for 2 in his first game back off the disabled list today. He's been out for over a month with an injured shoulder. Hurt that shoulder, you may remember the series before the All-Star break when he crashed into the wall in St. Louis trying to make a play in right field. Quintana's also had a hard time locating his fastball. He threw a 1-2 breaking ball to Castillo to go to 2-2. He threw a fastball that missed for ball 3. And then 2 more fastballs before giving up the base hit. Force out at second, but the Reds right back in this thing. They come up with a pair after 3.5. Great moments. Follow along at Fox Sports OH on Twitter. Go back to 1922. This day in baseball, Major League history, brought to you by Geico. Cubs and the Phillies score 49 runs, 51 hits. The Cubs led this game 25-6 after 4 innings and had to hold on to win 26-23. And guess what? That game was 3 hours and 1 minute. The same as yesterday's 3-2 game.
51 hits in 3 hours. That's getting your money's worth. Wow.
apparently a little extra time is given apparently if a pitcher is on base and has to run the bases before you start the next half inning with him going to the mound. That's why we're so long in getting started to the Cubs' bottom of the 4th inning.
You know, it's so warm here today, and now that you're, in the back part of the season, it doesn't take much really to keep you loose. Sometimes, a pitcher would like to go out there and only throw 3 or 4 pitches between innings. But the time constraints of going to commercial, coming back, causes that to be a longer rest sometimes than you need.
Contreras to begin things in the Chicago 4th. Cubs come up with a 3-2 advantage. Contreras hit by a pitch, and that started really the 3-run inning for Chicago against Castillo in the 2nd. Wound up trading places on a fielder's choice ground out by Schwarber. And then with 2 outs, they played hit and run on a 2-strike pitch with the pitcher Quintana. That was his 2nd out, but he got the runner into scoring position. Then a 2-out single by Happ made it 1-0, and a 2-run home run by Murphy put him up 3. That ball scalded to straightaway center field, will fly up against the wall, and that'll be a 2-base hit for Contreras on a 1-2 pitch.
Yeah, a little payback in his own special way. Remember, it was Contreras that was drilled on the outer kneecap, or on the outer part of the knee his first time up. He gets a pretty good pitch right here. That's a slider at the lower end of the zone, right on the black, and that shows you how strong Wilson Contreras is.
He's still favoring that knee a little bit. He was running well to second base, but once he stopped and had to start moving around a little bit, again, that Chris brought up certainly an interesting point. Right-handed batter be your left knee. In Votto's case, his right knee is a left-handed batter. Drilled on that fastball from Castillo, as Votto was by Ryan Madsen at a 97-mile-per-hour fastball.
Well, a little momentum inning right here, and I think Tucker Barnhart wants to make sure it doesn't get out of hand. You're still at the bottom of the order. You've got the pitcher in the on-deck circle, and then Ian Happ batting in the number 9 spot. One thing that Danny Darwin and Luis Castillo have worked on a lot is the old towel drill. If you're a pitching coach or a pitcher that has been around maybe high school or even college level, you know what the towel drill is. Basically, you take a towel, long, not a beach towel size, but something smaller than that. You drape it over your fingers and you act like you're throwing a baseball, but you can repeat your delivery so that you get it right over and over again without actually throwing a baseball. And Castillo has worked very hard on that, and what they're trying to do is to keep him from leading with his elbow too much. That way you work your elbow underneath, your arm drops a little bit, you work on the side of the baseball, and everything kind of flattens out.
3 balls and no strikes on Schwarber, and he swings 3-0. Comes up empty.
He pulled the string on him. But we have seen some crazy 3-0 pitches so far this year. Last thing he was looking for.
Reds have action for the first time in their bullpen. Amir Garrett begins to throw. We're in the 4th inning, runner at second and nobody out. And this is a 2-run big fly by Schwarber.
Well, he threw it on a 3-0 pitch, and he comes back, but look at the location up here. Schwarber already timed it out, and at 87 miles an hour, Castillo provides the height, and Schwarber provides the bat head.
Well, Schwarber, number 23, and the 2 runs the Reds just got back. The Cubs get right back. The home run ball naturally is becoming even more and more of a factor around major league games, deciding who's winning and losing than really at any time before. For Castillo, all you have to do is he strikes out the pitcher Quintana is start going through his starts. You don't have to look at any other column. When he gives up 1 home run or none, and you could say this for a lot of pitchers, but in Castillo's case, he's walked some guys. Although by and large his control has been pretty good, but he does give up nearly a hit per inning, which a lot of guys do. But when you start serving up more than 2 or more, I mean, those numbers just blow up for Castillo for how long he's in a game, and he's allowed already 2 in a game today, and his day's over. They're coming to get him right here in the 4th inning. Doesn't even get through the batting order his 2nd time. The number 9 hitter is coming up. Skyline Chili called to the bullpen. Back in a minute. Home runs, 5 earned runs. He hits a batter, walks a batter, strikes out 2. He'll give way to Amir Garrett.
58 games now for Garrett. He was in 14 starts last year and 16 games overall. He's still not reached the same number of innings he had last year. He had over 70 innings last year, now sitting right at 56. Big left-hander may be leaned on here today to give the Reds a few innings. Yeah, you may think that was kind of a quick hook by Jim Riggleman, but he doesn't want this thing to start spiraling out of control. The Cubs are heating up. They're scoring more runs after going through that stretch where they only scored 1 run a game for 5 straight games. They've got their hitting shoes on here at Wrigley Field, and the Reds will go home and play the Milwaukee Brewers, another ball club that can put runs on the board.
2-0 on the number 9 hitter, third baseman Ian Happ. Reds and Cubs have split the 14 games against one another. Cubs are finished coming to Cincinnati for the year. The Reds have, I believe, one more trip here, if I'm not mistaken.
In September.
3-1 pitch is popped up, a fastball at 95 miles per hour, and Scooter Gennett will squeeze it tightly, looking into the bright sunshine now as it starting to see a lot more blue than clouds on this Saturday late in the afternoon. It's supposed to be very warm here tomorrow. Lots of sunshine. Daniel Murphy already batting for the third time. He flied to center field in the first inning and a 2-run home run to right center in the second. Our StatCast AI powered by AWS. Check out the home run numbers. Foul ball came right back. Yeah, got Murphy. That's the only thing that hadn't gone well for him. And that's all for Murphy. Good inning by Garrett. He finishes up, retiring a couple of batters. Ballpark has it all. Indoor, outdoor seating, a great view of the field TVs, and a ballpark buffet. Groups of 35 to 45 in the Norcom Super Suite. Log on to Reds.com/groups. Well, the Reds in Fox Sports Ohio would like to spend a very special happy birthday to Georgiana Poppelman, celebrating her 95th birthday today. Happy birthday, Georgiana. She's at home watching the game with her kids, her grandkids, her great-grandkids, all celebrating her birthday today. Happy 95th, Georgiana. Reds are trailing 5-2 as they bat here in the top of the 5th inning against Jose Quintana. Peraza to start things, then Jeanette and Suarez. Reds got their 2 runs in the 4th inning. And that one fisted into left center field. It'll fall in a hit by Peraza. His first hit in 3 at-bats today.
They go right inside. Peraza's got a very quick bat in there. That time he gets jammed a little bit, but very solid piece of wood he's carrying up there, and he gets a base hit.
They got a long way to go in this game. It doesn't mean all of a sudden the Reds are going to shut down the run game here. And although Quintana, not only left-handed, so quick to the plate. Now that time he picked up his leg. We've seen him most of the day today use that slide step. It would be almost impossible when he uses a slide step to steal against him, because you're not getting all that big a lead to start with. But if he picks his leg up, maybe you have a chance. Still gets it there pretty quickly.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, that slide step is very good. And you know, when you're 3 runs down, you don't want to run into outs on base paths. Not in this ballpark. And especially not when you've got the power part of your lineup coming up. Kind of interesting right there, the way that Rizzo, we've talked about this in Cubs games in the past, where how he fields at first base. As the runner takes his lead, Rizzo takes the lead, and he can sometimes jockey that runner back just by a quick movement. So he's as important in holding that runner close as anybody. A little more difficult, I think, for a right-handed throwing first baseman to do that, because you can never get the tag down. But now with replay, you can tag the runner as he dives back to the bag around the feet and have him called out. It used to be that you would never get him called out. First thing you'd hear is that, well, he tagged him low. Well, now you just send it to replay and you find out whether he's out or not.
Still waiting on Jeanette to get in the batter's box. He finally now does. Tried to butt his way on there a moment ago. Got the 2 strikes. Was a little bit frustrated. Breaking ball off the outside corner. There's that left-handed throwing first baseman you were talking about. They get the double play ball. Pitcher covering after the throw by Rizzo.
Now Rizzo's just a very clean fielding, nice throwing first baseman, gets the ball, makes a nice little throw right there. He's got plenty of time. Scooter Gennett, average runner down the line, and Quintana is right there in plenty of time. The key to that is that first base, or the pitcher getting there in time to cover the bag and not on the run.
So Suarez about it.
I wonder if a game like today, you probably heard the expression effectively wild. That's kind of looks like what Quintana is today. I mean, that last pitch he threw there almost went to the backstop. And we've seen him bounce a couple of pitches, 3 feet in front of home plate. And next thing you know, he throws a couple on the corners. A little bit hot and steamy here at Wrigley today. Look at that hat.
Getting a little steamy up here in the stands too. The big fella going after that foul ball here a minute ago. Plowed through some woman 2 seats down and some kid in front of him. Not a very popular guy right now. I mean, big fella.
A sweaty mess.
Oh, and now it's all over them too. He basically laid down and trampled 2 of them to get that foul ball. The 84th pitch of the game for Quintana. We're in the 5th inning. Straight away center field, and this will end the inning. Started off with a hit, but a big double play. Gets underway. Bearcat Insider will give you the preview of Luke Fickell's Bearcats. They'll be playing at UCLA September the 1st. That's coming your way Monday. Bearcats Insider with our buddy Dan Horde and Tony Pike, former UC great quarterback. That'll be this Monday at 6:30 on Fox Sports Ohio, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. That show will air regularly during the season on Wednesday night. We wish you Bearcats well. Of course, for UCLA, they had their big star quarterback taken in the NFL draft by the Arizona Cardinals, so they'll be playing a quarterback with very little, if any, experience. So good luck to the Cats out west. playing at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. That'll be a great trip for many of those young men. Amir Garrett begins his first full inning of work. Came on to retire the final 2 batters. Remember, this was a matchup here. He had some jawing going on earlier this season. Amir Garrett and Javier Baez. Garrett struck him out in a big situation and was all pumped up on the mound. And Baez said something to him, and he may have exacted revenge here. He has taken his time getting around those bases.
Things start getting dangerous when Javier Baez starts going opposite field like that. Now, pitch was way up in the zone. It was an off-speed pitch, so he was able to measure it and go with it. But still, he's a guy that normally is pulling out, kind of trying to drive everything to either the center field or left field. That ball had plenty to get out of here down the right field line.
So the Cubs extend their lead here in the bottom of the 5th inning. A 6-2 advantage. 3rd home run of the game for Chicago. Murphy, Schwarber, and now Baez. This ball is smoked. 2 hops against the ivy by Rizzo, who pulls in with a double after the home run by Baez.
And remember, those like we've seen this before, where Amir Garrett is able to come into a ball game and get the Reds out of a situation. He got out of the last inning, got half, and then Daniel Murphy struck him out. And then in his own inning now, he comes out and makes a mess for himself. A home run now, and that ball scalded by the left-handed hitting Anthony Rizzo.
And those were the 2 guys where there was the most fireworks. That trio. Because you had the strikeout we mentioned a moment ago of Garrett on Baez. After the jawing began, it was Rizzo who was the first to come sprinting out of the dugout, trying to get in the face of Amir Garrett. Don't think that's been forgotten. Now back out of play by Zobrist. Zobrist 1 for 2, had a single in the 1st inning and lined out hard to Dielson Herrera his last time up. Reds have Sal Romano warming up in the bullpen. The Reds, have hinted that as early as the off day after tomorrow, that they will reassess the situation with a 6-man starting rotation, with the goal being they'd like to get down to 5. Now, because of an off day, Romano's not expected to pitch until the Brewers series. Series finale here tomorrow will be Homer Bailey. The Reds have not announced who will pitch yet. after that off day starting Tuesday night. Suarez throws out Zobrist. You know, that's where you get down, Chris, to so many decisions that organizations have to make. And look, there's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. People might feel strongly about which direction the Reds should go. But, you have Robert Stevenson and Sal Romano, a couple of guys you're trying to figure out, the long haul for them, especially Stevenson, who would be out of options by the time you come into spring training next year. Romano would still have options. You have DeSclafani, who's come back and has thrown the ball pretty well since initially off to a so-so start, returning from a disabled list. You have Matt Harvey, and really a decision, what's his future? Should you be running him out there every 5 days? Would you do that because you'd like to try and sign Matt Harvey? Do you owe Matt Harvey anything? And then you get to Homer Bailey, who, threw the ball well the other night, but I'm not sure there's been a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball over the last 3 years who has a higher ERA when Bailey is taking the ball. And so you're paying him a ton of money. Do you leave him in the rotation? I'm sure they'd like to see Cody Reed get a start or two before this year is over. He's another guy they got to make a call on. So there are a lot of moving parts here in making this kind of decision about what you want to do over these last 35 games.
Well, they're all, and also remember that you have a couple of pitchers down in the minor leagues that you'd probably like to take a look at again also. Tyler Malley is down there, and then you also have Lucas Sims. And Sims was the player that was brought over who came over from Atlanta in that deal for Adam Duvall. So the Reds are really, it's almost the same situation they had last year at this time, where they're stuck between the rock of trying to win ball games and build a little momentum going into the offseason to avoid losing 90 games and developing young players and pitchers at the same time. It's a very difficult thing to do. And also, oh, by the way, there's an interim manager who's taking care of this ball club right now.
This isn't necessarily a pitching change. Well, now it is. They came out to visit with Amir Garrett for a minute or two there. The umpire came out. And so Sal Romano will come on from the bullpen when we come back. Replacing Amir Garrett. One out here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Cubs have scored 6 and lead at 6-2. Third appearance out of the bullpen for Sal Romano. One plus inning for Garrett. He allows 2 hits. Walks a batter, strikes out a batter. We'll wait on the run total. Those 2 guys out there belong to him. What a play by Suarez. A barehanded pickup to throw out Contreras. Runners advance, 2 out in the inning.
And he looks the ball right into his hand here as he's coming charging hard down the third baseline. Got to make sure you have it first, and that's a really nice play. Well, a dangerous spot here for Romano with the left-handed hitting Kyle Schwarber up. He has just done really all of his damage this year against right-handed hitters. He's only had 17 plate appearances, 18 now, I think, against left-handers. But every one of his 23 home runs have come off right-handers.
Runners at second and third. Tommy La Stella standing in the on-deck circle. That's a pitcher spot Quintana due up next. Jesse Chavez, we saw him here yesterday, is getting loose in the Chicago bullpen. Fastball at the knees for strike 2. Not sure Schwarber agreed with that call by the home plate umpire Ben May. Pitch number 5 right there. Everything down and everything away from Schwarber from the right-hander Romano. And went right back there again. That's good pitching right there by Romano. That was a nice job. Really good job. Excellent by Romano. This year's concert features Dove Award-winning band 10th Avenue North. They'll be performing live on the field after the Reds take on the Padres September the 8th. That's a 4:10 start with a concert right after. Tickets available for as low as $12. Visit Reds.com. It's always a great day at the ballpark. September the 8th, 10th Avenue North. Fired up for that. Well, his spot did not come up in the batting order when the Cubs were hitting there in the bottom of the 5th. So Quintana will get one more inning to work. This is his 85th pitch, and it's low, ball 1 to Phillip Ervin. Ervin is fly to right, drawn a walk, scored a run. Three balls and a strike. And I would imagine that Joe Madden is not going to have a very long rope with Quintana. He's only walked 2, but he's had multiple counts where he's gone to 3 balls. We mentioned 88 pitches already. And he has walked the leadoff man. And let's see if they just come get him. And here he comes. Five and dive here for Quintana. Given a 6-2 lead and walks the first batter in the 6th inning. Well, they are paying some of these pitchers a pile of money. Here in the 6th. Got a look yesterday at Chavez. He wound up picking up the win, working a 1-2-3 10th inning. So, you know, we talk about it all the time, the extraordinary advantage the big market or big money making franchise have in this sport, which of course does not have a salary cap. The other 3 major sports do. So it's not to suggest that you can, not have a team that spends a pile of money and not win games. That's happened before. But we talked about some of the breakdown and the ratios in the past. You know, you just look at his Chicago Cubs starting rotation. At least what it was supposed to be when the year began. Now, you can't control injuries, but the bottom line is when Darvish was here, he wasn't pitching any good. And they signed him a huge contract. And now they nearly pick off Irvin. But he's back. Well, they give Darvish an incredible amount of money. They trade to get Quintana knowing he's making big money. They're paying Lester a lot of money to be in that rotation. They bring in Chatwood during the offseason. Now, he's not the money guy those other guys are, but he's not pitched well, and now he's on the disabled list. But as you pointed out yesterday, you know, to cover up some of those mistakes or holes or whatever you want to call it, you can go trade for Cole Hamels. You give Jason Hayward a 7-year deal for $150 million, whatever it is. And this is his first start in 3 games in his series.
Yeah. Well, if you're making a lot of money, you can eat a lot of money.
I mean, you know, with all the great things that Brian Cashman has done, and make no mistake, he's had a great run at it. As general manager of the New York Yankees, I think they've won 3 or 4 World Series during his tenure as a general manager there. But there are a whole laundry list of guys you could go up and down through that Yankee roster the last 20 years that you paid a fortune and you had to cover up for. But you can do it. You give a player in a market like Cincinnati and many, many others, you give some player a 7-year deal for $100 million or whatever it is. Votto's deal, 10 years, $250 million. You better hit the lottery on that deal.
And the other thing, Tom, is that you can spend more on established bench players instead of relying on your extra guys to be guys coming up that you may have signed as a minor league free agent. See them in spring training. Next thing you know, they're sitting on your bench during the major league season.
Right. Chavez has gone 3-2 on Tucker Barnhart. We're in the top of the 6th inning. And Barnhart out of there swinging. Upper part of the strike zone, chasing that fastball.
Jesse Chavez named, the nickname on this weekend is Dado, or Dado. Dado, I would believe it because of his daughters, as he explains it. One day they were calling him Dado and their mom Mamo.
Sounds good to me.
Although last year Chavez used the nickname Flacco, which means skinny. Because when he said that when he was drafted, he was even skinnier than his other bullpen mate, Carl Edwards Jr. This year it's Dado.
You know, apparently the one-time Red farmhand, I believe he was a 2nd or 3rd round pick out of the University of Southern California, Brad Boxberger, who now is the closer of the Arizona Diamondbacks. This one straight up in the air and handled out in left field by Schwarber. We believe he's the only one to come up with this idea. Look up there above 31. What does that say to you?
I can read emoji. Can you?
That one I can. Pretty creative. 2 quick outs for Chavez, and here's Dilson Herrera. Herrera, a pair of RBI chances in this game. A runner at third with less than 2 outs in each of his first 2 times up. 1 ground out with a runner thrown out at home, and the other a strikeout for Herrera. And that one off the end of the bat popped up in his short left, and Chavez retires all 3. Cubs lead 6-2. Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. And tomorrow again we get underway at 1:30 Eastern time. Our game coverage starts at 2. A couple of right-handers locking up tomorrow. Homer Bailey, and his nickname is Homer. Hendo, Kyle Hendricks. Well, his given name, if I'm not mistaken, right, is David Bailey?
Yeah, David DeWitt.
David DeWitt Bailey. So Homer is already a nickname. Well, I've heard some guys call him Holmes. Heard that before. A lot of his buddies on the team, his teammates, good friends. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Over 41,000 on hand here today at Wrigley Field. Sal Romano came on and retired 2 batters in a row with 2 on, left on by Amiri Garrett in the 5th, so he starts a clean inning. And La Stella bats for Chavez, who works a perfect 6 through the strikeout in relief of Quintana. Now back out of play.
Boy, Romano's got nice sink on that fastball, and he keeps it down around the knees. When he runs into problems and when he overthrows a little bit and elevates it, thigh high instead of right down around the kneecap and below.
That's hooked hard into right field, and that ball is up against the ivy. La Stella into second. That kid can swing the bat.
He really can. He does not have a home run as a pinch hitter this year, but he can hit a pass ball. Romano get that ball up around letters, and Estella gets around in it quickly.
Ian Happ, the batter, 1 for 2, knocked in a run, the first run of this game for Chicago, with a 2-out single against starter Luis Castillo in a 3-run second inning, which also included a 2-run home run by Daniel Murphy. Romano ready on a 2-2 to Ian Happ. Strike 3 called, and Happ do it.
Good little backdoor breaking ball right there. Pitch does exactly what it was designed to do, have the hitter give up on it like it's going to dart away from the plate and actually come in and catch the corner. That's a hard pitch to feather in there, boy, but when you get the feel of that pitch, that could be one really good weapon.
Now Daniel Murphy. He's had 2 hits in each of his first 3 starts as a Cub. Today is his 4th game, and he's 1 for 3. Romano's nickname, what else would it be? Big Sally. Pally. Bounce to the right side, and that's a second out of the inning. Advancing down to third is La Stella. One more big out to go for Big Sally as he faces Javier Baez. They have singing out Take Me Out to the Ball Game today, the women's basketball coach at Notre Dame, because she is walking around with the national championship trophy. Wow, how sweet is that? She must be singing in the 7th inning stretch today. Nothing and 1 to count. Runner at third. Huge swing by Baez. Bat comes out of his hands. He swung so hard. That's right, Muffet McGraw, that's her name.
That was an exciting tournament this year.
Sure was. Yeah, the women's Final Four, the NCAA tournament has just become so exciting. Such great players, great coaches. Fastball high. What a block there by Tucker Barnhart, saving a sure run from third.
Well, you know what happened right there, and it really shouldn't have been done. But Baez caught that ball, it looked like, after it bounced into the dirt. That was a live ball here. I mean, just the instincts right there, and then he realized, uh-oh, and I'm sure that the home plate umpire, who calls time immediately, and May says, you know, you're not supposed to do that.
2-2 on Javier Baez, and Romano bounces another one up there.
Yeah, we're going to give Baez a chance to see if he learned his lesson.
Yeah.
I would imagine. That had the runner started coming home on that, and Barnhart tried to get the ball, and Baez had it in his hand, he could be called for interference.
You mean to tell me you don't know that?
Well, I'm pretty sure that's the case.
You are the rules expert at baseballrulesacademy.com. You might have to make that one of your key plays.
Well, I can look them all up very quickly, but I may have to make that a rule of the week.
You have video of a play, and you'll talk through the play.
Set up the situation.
Yep.
Do it all in about 2 minutes or less, so you don't have to spend all day learning the rule.
Three balls and 2 strikes.
You know, we mentioned that with Quintana a little bit earlier about how, you know, you don't want to make a mistake with your breaking ball, so you snap it off absolutely as hard as you possibly can, and more often than not, it bounces way in front of home plate. For the man on third, that can be very treacherous. And Jim Riggleman taking no chances right here. He's down by 4, but Riggleman is managing these games like he just does not want to let this thing get away. His ball club has lost 3 in a row. The Cubs are on the verge of a win here and a possible 4-game sweep tomorrow. There's only so much a manager can do.
We're back in a moment. Couple of changes made for Brandon Dixon. Takes over out in left field. Runners are at first and third. And Wandy Peralta trying to get the final out here in the 6th inning.
Yeah, interesting. Garrett came in and got out of the inning for the starter Luis Castillo. Then he ran into problem in the 5th. Romano got out of his inning no problem. And then when he started a clean inning on his own, he needs Peralta to get out of that one. So we're seeing a little bit of a pattern here. Only one out needed to get out of this one to keep the deficit at 4.
And Anthony Rizzo still walking around the home plate umpire. Now he's in there, or in the home plate area. He's in there now. We're set to go. Fastball in there, strike. Cubs have a left-hander, Justin Wilson, ready in their bullpen. LaStella, who's a runner at third right now, batted for the reliever Chavez. So we will see Wilson. When the Reds come up, you have a pinch hitter, and then we're actually on Dixon now that he's come into the game as a right-handed batter. He'll lead off the Reds' 7th inning. Then you have the lefty Schebler, righty Peraza, lefty Jeanette. 1 ball and 1 strike. Wandy Peralta throws his hands up in the air after allowing that run-scoring single to Rizzo the other way.
Now, most of the damage that Rizzo has done this year has been against right-handers. Also comes into this ball game batting only .220 against left-handers. Only 2 of his 21 home runs are against lefties. But he's able to shoot that ball through the left side and drive another run in.
Okay, for a guy who most of this year was not having a good season, certainly not on his standards, Rizzo. I mean, the next time we see them, this guy might have 110 runs batted in.
Well, he's really picked it up. I mean, last couple of weeks he's batting .300. Last week, in the last 7 days, he's batting .375. So he's an important cog, obviously, right in the center of this Cubs lineup.
He's not had the big doubles year that he normally has. I mean, in most of the categories, they're just not where it is. But again, he still has another 35 games roughly left to go. And I mean, he's zeroing in on a 27, 28 home run year, 100+ runs batted in, again on base percentage probably around 380. Slugging percentage not as high as it's been in the past.
Well, he's an example, really, Tom, why you need to have a couple of left-handers in your rotation, at least one. When you're facing teams in this division that feature so many left-handed hitters, the Cubs example, Exhibit 1, the Milwaukee Brewers example, Exhibit 1A. They load them up with lefties.
Base hit, they're going to hold the runner. Schebler fires back into the cutoff man. And the Cubbies have him loaded for Hayward. Wandy Peralta's come in and faced 2 hitters, a lefty and a switch hitter, and has allowed 2 base hits. This is another pitcher the Reds really, they have so many decisions to make. And I'm not suggesting that they have to make a decision on which ones they're going to keep and which ones they're going to let go. They can keep all of them because they're quote unquote under control. Guys who don't have enough service time to leave as a free agent, like Garrett, like Cody Reed, like Stevenson, like Peralta, like Lorenzen. But I think Peralta is as perplexing a situation as there is as any pitcher there is on this Reds in the entire organization.
I agree.
Because for the first 5 months of last year, you could have made a very strong argument that he was the best left-handed setup man in the National League. He was that good. and then probably got overused a bit, ran out of steam in September, and the numbers were good, but they weren't great. Then he comes rolling into camp this year, and he can't find the strike zone. They send him down to the minor leagues. They bring him back, and he has still struggled throwing the ball over the plate. He'll get out of the bases loaded jam, though. He gives up 2 hits, 3 left. Off to the 7th. Cubs lead 7-2. Three runs for Chicago in the second inning, highlighted by a 2-run home run from Daniel Murphy. Now the Reds would get closer. They made it a 1-run game. Castillo driving in a run, but then in the bottom of that same 4th inning, Schwarber a 2-run home run to make it 5-2. One of 3 home runs hit in the game by the Cubbies. All of them off Castillo, including this home run by Baez in the 5th. And the Cubs just tack on another run against Sal Romano. So Castillo, Garrett, Romano all charged with runs as the Reds trail 7-2. Justin Wilson will take over on the mound. Brandon Dixon bats for the first time. Strike 1. Dixon had a rough day here yesterday. He struck out 4 times. Base hit right field.
Get 18% below MSRP on most 2018 Encore models when you finance through GM Financial.
Saw Justin Wilson here yesterday, came on to face Scooter Gennett and struck him out. That was the only batter he would face in the game.
Well, he looked awfully impressive, even though it was a very quick at bat for Gennett yesterday. He dialed his fastball up to about 97 yesterday. And of course, Wilson may be even more known for his slider. Wilson closing in on game number 400 in his major league career. Spent the majority of his big league career all as a reliever with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pitched a year with the Yankees, a year with the Detroit Tigers. Actually, a couple of years with the Tigers, and joined the Cubs last season.
Well, Contreras has taken a beating today. He got drilled in the left knee. You may remember his first plate appearance in the game, and now that foul ball comes up and gets him maybe somewhere around the groin area. Oh, yeah. This is when he got drilled by that Castillo fastball, his first plate appearance of the game, leading off the second inning. But he just keeps right on rolling. Very next pitch, of course, is thrown in the dirt. You have to have just such incredible respect for those guys that play that position, especially the guys that are playing virtually every day, and Contreras is one of those guys. We'll get a break every now and again. We saw him the first game of this series get a night off. This guy's caught a lot of baseball since the Cubs brought him to the big leagues. Hayward, couple of steps to his right. That's the first out. Jose Peraza is one of three, at a single into left center field. Little blooper over the head of the shortstop Baez in the fifth. Philadelphia out to a 1-0 lead, last of the third in Toronto. That was a late start. Yankees finish off Baltimore 10-3. And 2 games underway. Texas trailing the Giants in San Francisco 4-0 in the third. And the Nationals and Mets are scoreless at the end of 2. Here it's 7-2. Cubs in front. We're in the 7th inning. Good effort there by Zobrist. He caught it.
Well, Zobrist, the kind of guy that you call him a super sub. He plays just about everywhere, and he makes a nice running diving catch right there on a dying quail by Jose Peraza.
That's a 37-year-old out there in right field. That ball off of Rizzo's glove. What are they saying here? That hit the runner?
Now the runner's out, the ball is dead, and the inning is over.
There we go. I thought it hit his glove. Hit the foot of Brandon Dixon over there.
I'll tell you what, though. You can make an argument that it was right past the first baseman. And once it passes a fielder that can make the catch, it should not be a hit by batted ball. I mean, that's what Jim Riggleman is probably going to come out of the dugout and probably talk to the umpires. I would.
out of the dugout, and he never did.
I think that, well, first of all, if the ball is deflected by the first baseman, it's definitely not hit by batted ball. But I always understood, I'm still looking up the rule, Tom, that if the ball goes right past the infielder, and the infielder can make a play on that ball, and it hits the runner, then he is not out by hit by batted ball.
Here's Contreras against Peralta, and it's an air strike. Reds trail 7-2. Chicago bats in the last of the 7th inning on this very warm, turned into a very warm Saturday afternoon. Cloudy and cool early in the day, but the sky's nearly cloudless now. One ball and 2 strikes. Wandy not charged with a run, of course, although he came in and allowed the base hit to Rizzo to hang a run on Sal Romano. And he is taking care of Contreras to start the inning. Here's a left-handed batting left fielder Schwarber. That tipped his bat. Strike 1. Two and 2 to Schwarber.
Now, certainly the matchup you want right here. Anytime Schwarber comes to the plate, the lefty on the mound is a big advantage. Here we're going to go back to that hit by batted ball play with Brandon Dixon. I found the rule clarified. I think the umpires may have got it right, but it's close enough that maybe, you know, in a close ball game, it may have been worth Jim Riggleman going out there and discussing. That's too bad there, ball 4. The rule says that if a fair ball goes through or by an infielder and then touches a runner immediately back of that fielder. So in the umpire's judgment, if the runner at that point, Brandon Dixon, was right behind the first baseman Anthony Rizzo and then was touched by the ball, he would not be called out. But if it was not directly behind him, or if it was deflected and so on, so that's the judgment call of the umpire right there, that Dixon was not directly behind Rizzo. So he is out for being hit by a batted ball. So, rule 709K in case you were looking it up.
I don't know what part of that picture said to me that he wasn't behind Rizzo.
I would have made that argument.
I mean, you're sitting there looking at it. If by any definition of are you in front of or behind or next to another person, I don't know what you could possibly be seeing there that would tell you that Brandon Dixon was not behind Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah, well, the MLB umpire's manual is what I'm reading from. And that is the one that uses the word, it says it touches a runner immediately back of him. So, and of course the other extenuating circumstance is that if Rizzo did deflect that ball and then it hit the runner, he would not have been called out either.
Albert Almora Jr. coming up there to pinch hit. Batting for the pitcher, Wilson, who works an inning. Allows a couple of hits, no runs. I mean, what in the world has happened to Wandy Peralta?
Usually when somebody loses their control the way that Peralta has, one of two things happens. The first is an injury, and let's hope that's not the case, and evidently it doesn't seem to be the case. The other is a quirk on the mechanics that make you lose your release point, you know, and make it difficult to repeat. And I think that when I see Wandy Peralta pitch, it's almost the same thing that I see sometimes in Amir Garrett. That he's very quick with his front side, and especially his front leg, almost to a herky-jerky part. And it can be deceptive, but he lands very stiff, although not nearly as much as he was earlier in the summer.
He's right there in that at bat. You get an idea as that ball's going to fall in and everybody's safe. It's going to roll down the line. They're going to have the bases loaded. But look, even though Wandy got a bad result out of that, to no fault of his own, but the point being is that right there in that at bat, he ate up the batter in that at bat.
Right.
Strike one pitch, then jams him in on the hands in half. Has to be an error, right?
I would think so. I think that probably Schebler was maybe thought he was a little closer to one of the infielders coming out than he really was. Well, Jeanette peels off in plenty of time. Maybe he lost in the sun.
Yeah. And that's happened to him 2 or 3 times already this year.
So if he lost it in the sun, it's a base hit. In the eyes of the official score, it has to be, although they're going to give him an error there. So evidently he didn't lose it in the sun in the eyes of the official score.
Right. Two walks and an error have loaded the bases for the Chicago Cubs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Two balls and a strike. Cubs tack on another run. They now lead 8-2.
Now when it rains, it pours. At least it seems that way here at Wrigley Field. This one time was a one-run ball game way back when the Reds battled back. But ever since that time, it's been all Cubs with a little help from the Reds defense. Back-to-back errors on successful balls in play. You know, one follow-up again on that ball that was hit and then struck Brandon Dixon, the runner. The batter on that play is credited with a base hit.
Yes.
So credit Jeanette with a base hit on that. So that is a wrap.
By the way, Murphy there is given credit for an RBI, even though there was an error made on the play. And the reason being is because you are not allowed to assume the double play. If there was error ever, a ground ball where it would have been a double play, that would have been it. But the rule says you can't assume it. So Murphy gets credit for a run batted in. 8-2 game. Still one out. Peralta retired the first batter in the inning, walked the batter, dropped fly ball, dropped ground ball. And they're still loaded for Baez, a league leader in runs batted in. And he adds to it. Two more of them. Crowd chanting MVP for Javier Baez. 4 more runs batted in, shy of hitting the century mark. And the Cubs continue to bat in the 7th inning. Here's Rizzo. Been on base 3 times, couple of hits, a run batted in, has a double. One ball and 2 strikes on Rizzo. David Hernandez is ready down in the Reds bullpen. It's been a long half inning here for Peralta. Strikes out Rizzo for the 2nd out. Second strikeout for Wandy, and now he'll try and retire Ben Zobrist in this inning.
Yeah, that's 4 outs the Reds have given the Cubs already in this inning. The only 2 recorded actually have been the strikeouts of Contreras and now Rizzo.
All of the runs in this inning against Peralta are unearned runs because of errors from Schebler and then Peraza. Those would have been the 2nd and 3rd outs with 2 runners on base. This will be the 40th pitch already for Peralta. He came on with 2 outs in the 6th inning. Gave up 2 hits, got the final out of the inning. And now is facing his 8th batter during the Chicago, what has been 3-run 7th inning. Foul ball. Cubs have scored in all but 2 of their 7 innings of this game. Scoreless in the first, scoreless in the third. A crooked number the rest of the time. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Zobrist. Peralta able to save a run for the time being. Good effort there by Jose with his team trailing 10-2. Leaving his feet to glove that one in shallow center field.
Brian Butterfield certainly wasn't going to risk injuring the Golden Goose, and that would be Daniel Murphy right now coming around third base. If it goes into the center field, he's going to score easily. But because it was a play that was knocked down by Peraza with a good effort, you see Butterfield down here. He said, hey, get back there now. We don't want you running and injuring your leg or the risk of it.
9th man to bat in this inning is Jason Hayward. Balls and no strikes on Hayward. This will be the final batter either way for Peralta. He certainly deserved better than this in this inning. He did walk 2 batters, but he had 2 errors behind him. He's not been able to stop the bleeding since those errors. 2 balls and a strike. Brandon Kinsler is throwing in the Chicago pen. We'll see him if and when the Reds bat in the 8th inning. Two-one. Sure, Hayward thinking, you're kidding me. Thought that pitch was low. Forty-ninth pitch coming up for Peralta. And he's been in there for an inning and a third. Not even that long yet. Peralta doesn't know his right fielder is standing down in the corner, and now someone apparently is letting him know because he bounced off the rubber. Schebler had to run all the way down to the corner where that foul ball went, and is just making his way back to his right field position. Good play by Casale. Oh boy.
Good play by Peralta.
Yes, it was. Cubs get 3 more and lead 10-2. Shortly, we're back at sunny Wrigley Field in Chicago. It's turned into a beautiful day here today. Very warm down on the field as we brought up earlier. It's gotten muggy. Expected to be warm tomorrow. Temperature close to 90. After being right around 70 here yesterday. Now Morris stays in the game to play center field, and on the pitch it is Brandon Kinsler.
He was one of the guys that the Cubs were able to pick up from the Washington Nationals right here at the trading deadline on July the 31st. Came for John Romero, a minor leaguer. Kinsler's been around a little bit. Broke in with the Brewers in 2010. He's also pitched with Minnesota in the last couple of seasons, parts thereof with the Washington Nationals.
Suarez, his second base hit of the game. Both of his hits have come leading off an inning. There you look at Almora Jr. taking over for Jason Hayward, and now Hayward goes into right field, and the day is over for Ben Zobrist. They also bring in Bodie to play third base. He was a hero here yesterday, and boy, it's just incredible the more you watch it, and even though we know they can do it, to see it in the course of a series, the different positions so many of these Cubs players can play. Not just one or two guys, it's a whole boatload of them. There's a liner smothered out there by Schwarber. Pretty nice play by him. Or the ball found him, one or the other.
I think the ball probably found him. It was a do or die play for Schwarber. He made an effort here to try to get it on a fly, and at that point you just kind of throw your glove out there and the ball finds webbing.
Schwarber is one of the few guys they won't move around. Their regular third baseman, Bryant, played the outfield, third base. Baez, as we know, has played everywhere, outfield, infield. Daniel Murphy, they're not going to move. Now that they've acquired him, he'll be the second baseman. Not necessarily every day. Maybe against a tough left-hander, they'll move Baez back over there or put Zobrist in there. And, of course, Rizzo is staying put. But then you have all of these outfielders and or infielders that can play both. Zobrist, Happ. It's pretty impressive.
Well, you know, Schwarber, the guy that doesn't move around very much. Remember, he was drafted as a catcher.
Yep.
At the University of Indiana, first-round draft pick. He also played outfield there. And in the minor leagues, he caught and played in the infield. And a little bit in the outfield as well.
Two and two on Tucker. Looks at a fastball right down the middle of the plate for strike three. Redlegs take on the Padres. That'll be that September 7, 8, 9 series. And on the 8th of Saturday, thanks to Queen City Sausage, the first 20,000 fans receive a Joe Morgan replica statue. We're celebrating the Hall of Famer's 5th anniversary of that statue dedication outside the ballpark. Tickets available at Reds.com. And again, that's a 4:10 Saturday afternoon start with the Padres in town. Ball is blasted into left center field, and this baby will fly out of here. Right. A 2-run home run by Casale, and the beat goes on for this young man. He continues to really swing the bat and pop in that bat. He had a double earlier, which gave him, what, 10 extra base hits, and now this is number 11 with 14, now 15 batted in. Our Miller hold true moment. 3-run big fly by Casale. His 4th. So you look at damage per plate appearance. This guy's doing some major damage.
I'll tell you, you know, even when he hit a few years ago when he was playing for Tampa Bay, hit 10 home runs in one season. That was 2015. But he only had 113 plate appearances that year. So that is damage per plate appearance, definitely. That was his high water mark in 2016. He hit 10 home runs, played a little bit more, played in 84 games that year, again for the Rays. All of his big league time before coming here to Cincinnati was with Tampa Bay. Tenth-round pick out of the Vanderbilt University in 2011.
1-1. First at bat for Preston Tucker. He is up there hitting for the pitcher, Wandy Peralta. Peralta goes an inning and a third. Allows 3 runs, all unearned runs. Gave up 4 hits. Walked 2, struck out 2. Every Reds pitcher has given up runs. It's appeared in the game today. Castillo, Garrett, Romano, Peralta. Although Peralta deserved better. This ball is launched off the bat of Preston Tucker, and this one flies out of here. And all of a sudden, the Reds within slam range. It's a 10-6 game.
Well, you can't help but go back and look at those extra runs the Reds gave the Cubs in the bottom of the 7th inning there. You had 2 unearned runs that were charged to Peralta. Preston Tucker, in case you didn't notice, has got some power.
Looks like he's almost smiling at that thing. You should be.
Well, right about now, he's got a big smile.
Well, how about that outing by Kinsler? Faces 5 batters, gives up 4 rockets and 4 runs, including back-to-back home runs. Good thing they picked him up. Home runs by Casale and Tucker. Interesting sign by the Cubs on August 10th. Guy's been around baseball a long time, has spent all or part of 15 years in the major leagues, primarily as a starter. Jorge De La Rosa, Milwaukee for 3 years, Kansas City a couple of years, 9 years in Colorado, the last couple of years in Arizona. He was with the Diamondbacks earlier this season and they let him go. Popped up and Hayward comes on to get it. Brandon Dixon retired for out number 2 here in the 8th. Here's Schebler. This Cub bullpen has been very good this year. Now they've given up, the 4 runs here by Kinsler in the 8th inning today with an 8-run lead. But their bullpen ERA is 3.18. They've been first or second all year long in the National League for best bullpens as Hayward has to battle the sun but makes a catch and we're off to the bottom of the 8th. big deal around these parts. That Cub bullpen and the way they celebrate after a Chicago home run. They have all kinds of choreographed dances and things like that down there. They even get the grounds crew dialed in. Lester Strode, the bullpen coach down there. Good man.
Long time.
Yep, good man.
Down there, he is a good man. Pitched against Lester back in the American Association days, back in the mid-'80s. You know, some people don't like that bullpen choreographed celebration, but you know, it's becoming more and more part of the game. I think they do it in a good-natured way. They're not rubbing anybody's face in it. And if you don't want to see it, don't give up a home run.
Well put. David Hernandez comes on to the game, looking for a clean 8th inning. He will be facing Contreras, Schwarber, and Almora. David's had a very good year, to say the least. This will be playable on the first base side for Casale. One away.
He and Jared Hughes, that is Hernandez and Hughes, have just been rocks in that Reds bullpen. And the word around the league is, you know, for the most part, if the Reds can get the lead and get to the late in the game, they don't lose very many games at all. That's a very tight bullpen. Where they've had problem is the early guys that are coming in trying to keep the deficit close, as is the case today. There was a time that David Hernandez was one of the harder throwers in the league. I mean, he would really burn it up there. He's got plenty of arm speed left. Has a good hard breaking ball. Finishes his pitches extremely well.
Two balls and 2 strikes on Schwarber, who did not have a hit in his series until today. He has 1 hit, but he scored 3 times. Also drawn a walk, hit a 2-run home run back in the 4th inning against Castillo. Still 2-2 on Schwarber. Pretty good battle going on here with David Hernandez. And he went around that strike 3, and Schwarber knew it. First 2 retired by David here in the 8th inning. Reds will have one more crack at him. They're down. They made a game of it at least. 10-6. Jim Riggleman's seen a lot of strange things here in this ballpark. Of course, he was a manager for the Cubs a handful of years, once taking them to the playoffs. It's 20 years ago, 21 seasons ago. That was 1998. That was a big deal when the Cubs made the playoffs that year. It's been a while. And a tidy 1-2-3 for Hernandez. The Reds will bat in the ninth, down by 4. Brought to you by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Ram. It's a no comparison event at your Ram dealer. Don't miss the great deals on Ram today. Beautiful along the lakefront, summertime. Bright sunshine, perfect late afternoon to be out there. De La Rosa trying to pick up the final 3 outs. Reds got 4 off Brandon Kinsler in the 8th inning to make it a 4-run game, including home runs, a 3-run shot by Casali, a solo home run from Tucker. In the air over near the stands, and Rizzo able to get it. And now a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming.
Get ready to get lucky.
Two out. Suarez, a couple of hits, couple of runs scored today, pair of singles. Oh, and 1 to Suarez. In the air, center field, and this is it. 1, 2, 3 for De La Rosa. Retires the final 5 batters of the game. And a final count of Chicago 10, the Reds 6. We'll be back with more in a moment.